What's good, everybody? It's your boy Jay here with Unfair Sports, where we take a pensive approach to the sports conversation. This is our OSG Fantasy Report episode. Thank you for tuning in here on the YouTubes, as well as wherever podcasts are downloaded and listened to. While you are here, go ahead and rate and review. Give us 5 stars. You think we deserve it? And just give us 5 anyway. Yeah. Gifted. So we got the OSG here. We're going to dive right into a few things. We're going to do a review of last week's fantasy thoughts, touch bases on 6 target games for the week that we think you should look at on your daily fantasy on DraftKings, talk running backs, defenses, and wrap it up with our frozen features. Make sure you hit us up on the Unfair fan line, 430-901-1906. Give us your thoughts. Let us know if you want some money. You know, we really want to make sure that we're providing you guys with that quality content. I've gotten really into fantasy sports, mainly because of the OSG, and I think this is some good content to help you guys think about your rosters, think about those odd plays, and prepare your stacks. So hit us up, 430-901-1906. OSG, what it do?
Oh, we ready for week 3. We coming back from week 2. It was a good week.
I actually made some good solid bread. I made a couple $100 this week with the rosters. I didn't get to the elusive 200 yet,
right?
But I it's just like the weekend, because today is Thursday. We're recording Thursday night. I see the weekend coming. I see that 200 coming too.
Exactly. Yes. Yes.
So I know it's gonna be there, but. No, let's dive right into reviewing last week.
Yep.
I went through and looked through my rosters. I saw the millionaire guy. He basically lucked out with Derrick Henry showing up in the fourth quarter in like the last 3 drives of the game.
Is it luck though, or is that what Derrick Henry does?
Man, I'm used to Derrick Henry at least having those yards at the beginning of the game.
He gets stronger as the game goes on. They wear the defenses down.
Yeah,
and that's
but
why
he
teams
didn't
shouldn't get away
have
from the run.
any of that during that game. It was a very slow game for him.
But the quiet thing, like we talked about during the while we were prepping, he's getting targets. He got some receptions, so that adds to those points.
That's true. He had 9, so 9 targets, 9 receptions to add on top of like the 180 something yards rushing he had.
Well, it's been over the 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Okay.
Yeah, but he had another solid reception game last week. But that player, he started off up top with Tom Brady. Wasn't hard to call.
Right.
We said Derrick Henry was like the only play on the Tennessee side. That's what we said on the show last week.
Yeah, we called that one out. We told y'all if you're going to play anybody on Tennessee, you're going to play Derrick Henry. Don't touch anybody else. And it was the best call.
Yeah, they went Lenny Fournette, which, wasn't a great play. He got 11, so it shows that you can have, not so hot spot. They had Rondale Moore, whom I did. We were high on him.
We talked about Moore.
They had Tyler Lockett. I went Stephon Diggs there. We both had Cooper Kupp. That was kind of one of the favorite plays. He just keeps going. He's still not priced up this week. He's still he's going to be under 7K. We both played Gronk.
Wow, he's still under 7K?
He will be under 7K this week again. We'll get to that. But they played Gronk again. We both played him. I also played KJ Osborne in that. But we'll stick to the Lockett, Kupp, Gronk we both had. He went Marvin Jones Jr. I went KJ Osborne. I was real high on him last week for his price, and he showed up. I had the Seahawks defense. He had the Cardinals defense. My defense was actually better, but he, Derrick Henry, that's where his point difference was, and that's why he ran away with it. And, I'm holding Chris Carson and Chubb. Did decent. Carson, the 2 touchdowns saved Chris Carson in that game. So, picked the wrong running back in the game. We was looking at the right spot, but hey.
Yeah.
That's why we back for week 3.
Exactly. Yes. And truth be told, to be honest, the best play with Derrick for the Titans is still playing Derrick Henry.
Every week.
That's really it.
Every week.
That's really it, because it's really nothing else on that roster. It's actually even appealing anymore after seeing the way they play. Sorry, Titans fans. Y'all still hate me, I know, but, you keep coming back. So that means that we have some love. So, all right, let's dive into our targeted games.
Okay.
We got 6 games we're going to target. All because of the totals. This is kind of one of our philosophies with it. We look at the high total games. That's how we pick which stacks to pay the attention to the most. And then we dive into the players that you need to go ahead and lay hands on. So the games we've got are the Buccaneers and Rams, the Chiefs and Chargers, the Vikings, Seahawks, Cardinals, Jaguars, the Ravens, Lions, as well as the Falcons and the Giants. That's your 5 highest totals this week. Let's dive right into, first and foremost, my Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking on the Los Angeles Rams. And so this game is played in
LA.
In LA at SoFi. So the Buccaneers will be traveling cross country
That's quite a distance.
Is this their second time in a row?
Where did they play? They went home last week against Atlanta.
Yeah, home Atlanta. Never mind. So this is their first time traveling since to start. Yeah, actually, this is their first road game of the season because they played Dallas in Raymond James as well.
They did.
So we got Tampa's first travel, going to SoFi. So time wise, I don't think there's going to be a time issue there.
No, they
never is.
They get
for
the afternoon game on
East
top
to
of
West,
that.
and in the afternoon game. So it's probably like 6:00 Tampa time whenever they truly, at 4:00 Tampa time because it's 3:00 Central to 1:00.
6, you're right, actually.
Yeah,
about 6. Yeah,
yeah. It's going to be a late game. So for them. All right, let's look at this. Let's kind of dissect some of this portions of it and get a better understanding of what we're working with. Tampa and the Rams.
So we'll start on this Tampa side. Go right back to Brady. He was the $1 million winning quarterback last week. The offense, they've scored 30 or more points in 9 straight games. And if this game gets back and forth, up and down the field, which it should, because we got 2 high-powered offenses, so you kind of think about how these offenses interact with one another.
Right.
But I think you start with Brady. I think you go right back to Gronk. I kind of like Chris Godwin again this week. He's got 19 targets from Brady this season so far. He's leading them. Evans has 15. Gronk has 13. And I think we talked about how Fournette wasn't a good play in that lineup last week. I think he may be in play this week. He's only $5K. Ronald Jones, I think, is just right back out of the rotation. I think he missed a key block. Bruce Arians was like, after all this time in this offense, he should, and so that's not good. And Fournette is a pass catching back, so
he really is.
I think everybody's in play now. Antonio Brown is questionable. He landed on the COVID list.
Which now I think that's a little bit more significant than people are.
Yes.
Well, actually, a lot of people have been pointing out how significant they feel it is. That's a big deal.
It is.
That is because that's not only is that Tom Brady's. Honestly, I think that's his favorite wide receiver.
It is
out of all of them,
even though he's behind in targets, but that's his guy.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the targets he throw to him are the ones that Antonio Brown always catch. It's not he doesn't just try to get him the ball.
Quality
it's
targets.
Always exactly the quality targets. That's going to put a lot more pressure on the receiver set. So you're going to have Jalen Ramsey shadowing probably Evans.
That's what we wondered. That's one thing that we were thinking. We think that Evans might be the candidate to get the Jalen Ramsey coverage.
Yeah, who's the other corner for the Rams?
You would ask me that. Don't let me lie on camera.
Yeah, let me look up. I'm looking up the depth chart real quick while you go through it. I always forget who that second corner is. I know he's really good.
So because of that, that's why I'm kind of getting with honestly, the secondary in general for the Rams outside of him are decent. The place to attack
Darius Williams.
Yes,
that's why I knew it was. I knew he was good. Mm-hmm. So
if you really if you playing a lot of lineups and Antonio Brown is ruled out, you could throw Scotty Miller in there at 3-1, but don't do it. You could, but he fills in well when he's called up.
He really does, yeah. and Brady has no problem with throwing to him. He likes throwing it to him.
And if you're on the field in a 3 wide receiver set, you're going to get a look with Tom Brady.
It's like the Wes Welker, Julian Edelman piece that and it's not really just because he's white. It's more so because he's a small, undersized wide receiver who's smart and knows how to get open.
And he plays the slot well. Brady gets you open, but Godwin's got 19 targets. Gronk has 2 touchdowns in 3 straight games going back to the Super Bowl. So
play Gronk. I don't care if it is anything we tell you here. Yeah. Play Gronk. That's the one person that Brady will score touchdowns with. Now he won't get you a lot of points because it'll only be touchdowns.
4 catches, 2 touchdowns. That was stat line last.
That's basically it. But he is definitely someone you need to keep in mind if you need to fill, because I don't think he's even priced very high this week.
5.5. He went up. He was 4.7 last week. He's 5.5 this week. So he's moving up. He's making it a little, I won't say difficult, but where now you really got to decide. There's a lot of good tight ends this week. We won't talk. We're not going to look at the Jets Broncos game, but you got Gronk at 5.5. You got Fan at 4.8 though with Bridgewater. So it'll make a decision point to do Gronk. It's almost like if you play Gronk, you're stacking him with Brady. He's almost priced where you may not play him on his own, but it's in a stack. Yeah, and it's worth it because Tom's gonna score touchdowns. Yeah, and I don't. Even though this total is at 55, kind of like last week with that Cowboys-Chargers game, I'm kind of leery that it's going to actually end up being that high. I'm wondering if it's going to end up being a lot lower than we expect. See that because the Bucs, the run defense. So okay, with that said, let's go over to the Rams side.
Sonny Michel's going to be running the ball,
and which don't play him because you can't run on Tampa. That was the thing last week. we saw that Cordell Patterson had that good game, but that's because they had to throw it to him because Mike Davis, the traditional run game against Tampa is not going to work.
Yeah. So, that front four and those linebackers are too ridiculous to allow runs.
So attack that secondary. So if it gets the total hits, it's all the passing. So Stafford to
Cooper me is a really good play too.
His 21 targets. Cup is through 2 weeks. His fantasy is wide receiver number 1.
Yep.
And you just go right back to this. They're clicking. I was looking for these narratives. They eat breakfast together apparently. So
they're best friends.
They are. That's
but on the Chiefs side, if you want to add a play in there, Jefferson Jr. is definitely someone to keep your eyes on.
That's my guy. He's he ran 32 routes last week.
Ooh.
And he only played 5 less snaps than Cooper Kupp. He's going to be 3,500 this week.
Yeah, he's pretty low. I
actually like him
34. I got him at 34 right now.
3,400. And even though he's only seen 6 targets, he had that bomb against the Bears. I like him more than I like Robert Woods this week, to tell you the truth. Woods is going to have these games because they kind of, Woods will run a reverse every now and then. They'll kind of put the ball in his hands. But the way Kupp is eating up targets and then Woods is 5'7", I'd rather take a shot on Van Jefferson in this game at 3-4.
Yeah, and you're not going to get much out of Deshaun Jackson. I think Jefferson's taking all of his snaps.
No.
His snaps are basically done.
Nope. Tyler Higbee laid a dud last week at 4-1, and everybody was playing him, and that's why I kept going up to Gronk at 4-7 just to get off of him. That worked.
Yeah.
That saved a lot of lineups, to tell you the truth, because if I'd have just locked in on Higbee, it would have just been – I would have – because even the lineup compared to that million, we talked about being 180 to 200 and being right at 180, but if I'd have had him. But I think you can go back to him here.
Yeah,
we talked about that tight end spot last week against Tampa. You talked about Dalton Schultz and the tight ends there going. So,
I kind of disagree with you now on that because it makes me think about Higbee's a better blocker.
True.
Than he is really a pass catcher, but he's still a really good pass catcher. Mm-hmm. But to go add insult to injury to this is Tampa Bay's defense is so good they don't really get to run. So either Higbee's going to catch a lot of passes, or he's going to be there for either the check down with the running backs, or he's not going to catch a single thing. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if I trust Higbee in the flat or just in the field in general against that Tampa defense, those linebackers.
Right.
That concerns me because I can now. If there's one thing I will say as we wrap this one up is defense wise. Mm-hmm. There's a chance there's going to be a lot of turnovers. Mm-hmm. Stafford loves to sling it.
Right, he does.
And Tampa's defense loves to take it.
He does. If there was only a reason to say, okay, I'm going to keep playing Higbee, he did play 100% of the snaps.
But no, he's going to play.
He's on the field.
He's always going to be on the field because he's the best blocker they have.
Lineups you go to, but there are a lot of tight ends on the slate, and he dropped from 4-1 to 4K. So
that kind of tells you that DraftKings thinks that he's more of a price play. So. Game number 2. Let's jump into the next game that we're looking at is the Chiefs taking on the Los Angeles Chargers, the Chargers of Los Angeles. This game is in the beautiful city of, this is in Kansas City, baby. This is in Kansas City, baby, because the Rams got the Buccaneers there. So, weather-wise, it looks beautiful. Looks all sunny, clear day.
Good to go.
We've got
55.5 total.
55.5 total. Well, 54.5 is the latest look I saw today. So it's fluctuating. It's gone up to the 56 at one point. At Monday, it was 56 when it started. So all the money coming in on the bettors, it has dropped it back down to 54.5. Everybody's going with the under. I'm looking at this now. I'm going with the all piece. Of course, the highest price, guys. We start with the Kansas City Chiefs. The people that are going to cost the most. The most expensive ones in this game is the Chiefs.
Yep.
Everybody. Tyreek Hill at 84. Patrick Mahomes at 82. And Travis Kelce at 82.
Play him anyway.
Yeah.
So,
I'm concerned.
But and you know what? Your concern is probably, so there's 2 things in the game. If you were to poke holes in, because that's the thing. When you like a play, poke holes in it. And see what you see. And so the same way, even though we wasn't on air, Sunday morning I started growing leery of the Chargers-Cowboys total game.
We did. We talked about this actually on the show as well. We kind of made mention of it that score looks good. But how are we going to get there?
I said that Dallas matchup with the Chargers was tougher than the Chargers were with Dallas.
Yep.
Because for years, with their secondary, there is a little respect to be given to the Chargers defense somewhat, even though you may not look at it and think that.
They have a young defense.
It's a division game. So it's not like we're talking about two teams who are completely unfamiliar with each other.
Right.
And
They know each other.
Surprised at what Kansas City throws at them. And then you bake in the price for, like you said, for Mahomes, Hill, and Kelsey. Now, with that said, am I going to play them? Yes. Because I just played, a lot of times, I'm going to get to them. Tyreek's got 19 targets. Kelsey's got 15. I'll probably pay a little bit more of, I might say Kelsey than Hill. Could be a mistake, but I'm almost paying. It's either, again, I kind of got this theory. You either pay all the way up for Kelsey and Waller, or you go really cheap at tight end and don't middle in the $5K range. That's why I'm kind of looking at Gronk at 5.5. So if I play Kelsey, he's almost a wide receiver type play.
Yeah.
And going cheap at tight end or at other receiver spots. So
and with this one, what helps the Chargers in this is that ranking wise, the Chiefs have, based upon DVOA, the 31st ranked defense.
The Chiefs, yeah.
They have an awful defense right now.
So that's the reason that I really want to play this side, especially this Chargers side, because as we've seen in both of these two games, that every Chiefs game, it seems like they're just going to go up and down. And is the Chiefs defense individually players bad?
No.
Maybe not. But if Mahomes just go out here and score in 2 minutes every time he has the ball.
Yeah. And
the defense is going to be on the field.
This is something I preach all the time on the main podcast that comes out on Tuesday mornings, is that your offense has to help your defense and your defense has to help your offense. The problem with KC is that, like you mentioned, they score so fast.
Yes.
So it means that within 2 minutes of the defense finally getting the offense off the line, off maybe a drive of 10 plays, 45 yards, or 14 plays, 45 yards, they were able to slow them down on third down every single time, and they finally got them into a 3 and out. KC's got them right back on the field.
Yep.
And so they're exhausted, and they're going to give up a big play because nobody has that type of depth.
Yep.
So that's where you're going to run into the offense. The problem with Kansas City is their offense can't help the defense because they don't have a running game. As much as I love Clyde Edwards-Helaire,
and
he's
so
not
bad.
it right now.
He has dropped to 4.8 on DraftKings, and that just shows you what they think of him now. Some people are going to
take him. Take him this week.
I'm not going to.
This is why I would say
he doesn't look good.
This is why. This is why the Chargers. You see what the Chargers gave up to the Cowboys on the run game?
It's true, but I just don't think that's not their focus.
Well, no, it's not, because their offense is always going to be pass. But the Chargers also, even though offensively and defensively they're around 20s in the DVOA range, they're okay. They can put up points.
Yeah, now if there's anything to be had in the backfield, it will be him. He's still dominating the snaps. He's still going to dominate the work itself.
Yep, he's taking all of that.
But I'm just like, just play Hill and Kelsey. Kelsey's got 20 straight PPR performances. They went out there to stop Tyreek last week.
Yeah.
And that's why we saw McCole Hardman. We saw these other players. And I think Hill will bounce back. And I think it kind of goes back to just an air raid Sunday.
No, you're right. If you need a cheap running back, go with Clyde Edwards at 4. It's not bad. There's a chance.
Yeah, you click on it. I get the logic behind this. Like, you click on it, but and so honestly, we talking about these game totals.
Yeah,
we play. There's a reason to play every piece in it.
Yep.
That's why I was playing KJ Osborne in the shootout with Arizona and Rondale Moore for that matter.
Right,
you playing everybody.
Yep.
Max Williams is becoming useful in that. But we'll get to him in Arizona.
Yeah, exactly. So that's
and actually the cheapie I like. You like him. I don't mind taking a shot at McCole Hardman, actually.
Yeah, Hardman is a really good cheap one because he's in the 3,000 range. He's 3,900.
Yep.
He's 39, so he might actually be one to look at for a couple of plays
like
here
if
and
you
there.
play Mahomes, like say for instance, and when you kind of get into lineup building these double stacks, you got Mahomes and Hill and Hardman. Or Mahomes, Kelsey, and Hardman. Yeah,
because you can't have both. You can't have all three. You can't have all three of the big boys because that's going to take up all your money.
Because you speed kills. Tyreek is McCole runs a 4.33. They still got him at that bomb. If he hits that bomb, and then you still have Mahomes properly stacked with Hill and Kelsey, you got the millionaire lineup in the first week had Hill and Kelsey in it without Mahomes. So those pieces are going to get the ball.
Yep,
in that offense.
And so, but if you want to drop it down a little bit in price for your quarterback, Justin Herbert.
Yeah. So 337 yards a game so far.
He just doesn't throw a lot of touchdowns. That's
year,
the biggest problem.
Last year, 6-13 against KC, he did throw 4 touchdowns in the 2 games with them. But so far, they hadn't gotten the end zone as much as we like in these first 2 games. They've moved the ball, kind of like the Cowboys Charger things. He was moving the ball in that game against Dallas, but no touchdown. They did get Austin Eckler back involved. He had no receptions week 1. Comes back in week 2, has 9 receptions. I always target running backs against Kansas City.
Yes.
And so he is a great play. Last week I was like, I hate playing Mike Williams, but the new offensive coordinator, they did say in the preseason that they were going to use him differently. It was going to not just hoping to throw it to him down the field.
Right.
And it's working. He's got 22 targets. Keenan Allen's got 21. Keenan Allen, however, has slipped under 7K somehow. I think he's like 6'9" this week. So
I think it's because of the targets. It's a touchdown.
It's
because Herbert's not throwing touchdowns, right?
No touchdowns and more targets are going to Williams. Like the offense.
They're 6'6" and 6'4" right now.
Like you're doing what a quarterback really should be doing. And that's kind of spreading the ball around.
Yeah, it's true.
And not just
that's kind of the
locking
bad
in
part.
on one guy and locking in on it. Sucks for fantasy.
Young quarterback doing what he's supposed to do. That's kind of when you run into a problem
So
when it comes
with
to fantasy.
Eckler, with Herbert this week, it could be Eckler that's getting a lot of targets. It could be Williams, could be Allen. Honestly, I like tight ends against Kansas City. I think we can go back to Jared Cook. He's seen 13 targets so far this season in these 2 games. He's kind of passed. He ran 29 routes last week.
And the thing to look on this as well is the Chargers' first 2 games were against one elite defense with Washington, and then a defense that has surprised us this season in the Cowboys. The Cowboys defense is a lot better than we anticipated, especially with the way Diggs is playing and the way he's shadowing folks. So that's something to consider in this Kansas City game that outside of Tyrann Matthews, I don't think defensively in that secondary they have anybody that's going to be able to stop any of their wide receivers.
Right.
Or the dump down, like you said, to Eckler, or the tight ends. People are going to feast on this Kansas City defense.
Yeah, if they can't get in the end zone this week, they gotta close these drives to make these picks work. But it's should be a back and forth game, and
and it's more so because that Kansas City defense, they know that, like I said, they have the great eraser. I'm gonna say this every time I mention Mahomes, but he is. He goes out there and he scores so quickly. But like you said, the one thing the Chargers do is they move the ball, and when that will exhaust your defense. I think Kansas City's defense gets tired faster than everybody else. And by running them, keeping them on the field and keeping Mahomes off, this game could end up in the 20-17 range, just like the others.
That's the problem with CEH is that they get up and they can't run the ball. They can't milk the clock.
Yeah,
they can't kill the game.
Which I don't understand why they don't do more checkdowns to him.
It's just maybe he's not working out. Sometimes he did catch. I think he had a record at LSU with receiving for a running back. And that's probably why they drafted him to come into that offense.
It makes sense.
But it's just this season it is not. It's just 2 weeks. It's not overreact.
2 weeks in, yeah.
It's not to overreact.
But to overreact, we should be concerned.
But I was alarmed that he dropped all the way to 4,800. That's very low. That's like a backup running back price.
Yep, and his backup is 47. So they're right next to each other.
Yeah.
So
Zach Moss is 4.7.
And he's been having a blah year.
I'm just looking at different players and just to see why that that price is how bad. Chuba Hubbard is backup. He's 4.8 if he was on the main slate. He's a backup price. Jeremy Nichols 4.8 behind Derrick Henry.
Yeah. Patterson 4-6.
4.6. Mike Davis 5.1.
Hines is 4.6. So good point. But that's to look at with those games. If we look at defenses. I wouldn't touch either one of them this week.
No,
because I can't trust either side to actually get turnovers.
If I had to pick one, I'd actually go with the home. I go with the Chiefs.
Yeah,
it's a loud stadium.
I think that they'll make Justin Herbert turn the ball over.
In tradition, the Chiefs stadium is a hard stadium to play on the road.
Yeah, that's true.
And
especially at afternoon, 12 o'clock, beautiful weather.
To pick one. Although I do have a defense in the high total game. We'll get to them.
We'll get to them in a little bit. Next up on the list, we've got the Minnesota Vikings and the Seattle Seahawks. Their total is sitting at 54.5 as well, and they are up in
Minnesota.
They're in Minnesota. Yep. Minnesota in the Dome. I wonder if the top's going to be open in this game.
It's still early in the season, very possible. So
I'm looking weather-wise in here. We don't have anything. It looks like clear skies. Let's see. Yep, clear skies in the afternoon.
I got a dome on mine.
So they may close it.
Just showing the dome. Yeah, my page shows the dome, no sun. So
yeah, so they may close it.
Yeah.
They may close that bad boy up. I'm looking at it. I'm seeing clear skies on DraftKings site. So there's a chance that we get one or the other. We don't know. Because we don't know, depending on how pretty it is.
Yeah, this early. If it's open this early in Minnesota, that means that it's not a problem.
Yeah,
the weather's not a factor.
Weather's not a factor.
And they'll be on the
and wind
turf,
isn't a factor, and it's turf, so it's going to be the greatest show on turf. A lot of running, a lot of going. This one, if there was a total out of all of the 5 games we have, I think this may end up being the highest.
It very well could be if they continue to let Russ cook on that Seattle side. I mean, and we said Cooper Kupp was Mr. Number 1, well, number 2 right behind him.
And that Seattle defense let everybody cook on them too.
Yeah, they will. They will let you. But yeah,
Russ they put out.
Yeah, and so from the fantasy perspective, Seattle's the easiest offensive peg. It's Russell, it's Lockett, it's Russell, it's Metcalf, and that's it. I'm going to put myself through misery and play the 3K Gerald Everett again. He's only had 4 targets this season. I kind of talked about him in week 1.
I just dropped him on my season long.
But, in these totals, that's when you kind of pick the pieces. Like, they have, but I do understand. I won't tell you to go back and beg somebody to trade him back to you.
Nope. Oh, no, I dropped. He's on the bench. I don't need him. I got Higbee and I got Noah Fant, who's been really good to me this year. Yeah. But my point behind that is we expected Everett to be a bigger focus. Yeah. Russell Wilson mentioned how much he loves throwing it to him. Loves playing with him.
And it's more, and this week, if I go there, it's more about the matchup. Cincinnati and Arizona has played Minnesota.
Yep.
They gave up 9 and 129 in 2 weeks to the tight end. So, 3K, again, you're looking for some little value. And, kind of like that week 1 game.
Right.
2 catches, 1 touchdown. That will pay him off at 3K. Just saying.
Yep. So he's a good cheap play.
Yeah,
if you need a cheap play.
It's not like a stack with Russ.
No, he's your last
like a roster filler.
Yeah, he's your roster filler. He's your flex.
Yeah, when just a cheap tight end, like you say I know that I want to play Mahomes, Hill, and
like Cooper Kupp, something like that.
Or Kelsey in the same or something, or a very expensive stack, Diggs and Allen.
Right. Derrick Henry, Mahomes, stuff like that.
He kind of is going to go in your value pool play this week.
I can see that.
He fits the bill.
I can see that. But so overall, like you mentioned, so for Seattle, it's going to be your standard piece.
So I like Lockett a little bit better. He's got 3 touchdowns. We suspect that DK Metcalf will get the Patrick Peterson shadow. And that is a real thing because we saw with DeAndre Hopkins, he had a touchdown, but we saw what he didn't blow up last week. It was
I like DK Metcalf against Patterson this week. Patterson still got age. Yeah, Peterson's a little age.
Yeah, and it's early in the season though. I mean DK is DK, but hey, like I said, we saw what he did against D-Hop last week.
It's true.
Yeah, I won't say shut him down, but he only had like 4 or 5 catches, and we're talking about top price receiver on the slate.
Yeah, and the good thing that helps him is the fact that Russell doesn't really scramble as much as Kyler does. Kyler loves to scramble.
Right now,
Kyler likes to scramble to get people open so he can throw it, where Russell will scramble as needed, but he's really good to save his life.
A couple years ago, for a couple seasons, he was just running for his life. But
his line's so much better this year in comparison to years past. I think they have a much higher grade.
That's why we see this offense looking like this.
Exactly. So they actually have more of a stout offense. Their problem is their defense. And so we switch over to the opposite side. We got Minnesota. Yep. This might be the week that Kirk Cousins puts up a 300-yard game and like a multiple touchdowns.
He could. We mentioned pre-show that Pete Carroll's kind of put some pressure on Kirk in the past, being in Seattle. So he's had some history with him in Washington and in Minnesota. Hold him to 6.9 yards an attempt, and it's pretty low ADOT. Kirk can get a little shell shocked at times, but that aside,
Jamal Adams going after him,
But that aside, I do like this Minnesota side. I like his pieces more, and I think that I'm gonna get to Cousins. Like when I write this article, I usually try to get down to 8 quarterbacks with about 1 or 2 honorable mentions. So when we shake it out, does Kirk get in that top 8? Maybe not, because he's in this high total though. Because I love everybody else. I love Jefferson. He's got 19 targets. I love Thielen. He's got 17. And, Thielen's such this possession. And Thielen might be the, I was on Osborne last week. I'm just waiting. The Thielen Jefferson thing, Thielen's got 8 first downs. He's got 3 touchdowns. He's like the safety guy. And so if it's a pressure game for Kirk, is it better for Thielen more so than it is Jefferson?
Or who's the tight end?
He's still out. Irv Smith is still out. And that's why we're seeing so many 3 wide receiver sets. That's why we're seeing so much KJ Osborne. Instead of them going to their backup tight end, they've been running the 3 wide receiver sets. And
which is this game, all the tight ends are bad.
Yeah, that's why we're seeing 3 wide. It's Jefferson, Thielen, Osborne. Osborne, I'm not gonna say he's their tight end right now, but they're running a lot of 3 wide receiver sets when you look at the routes that he's running. He's ran 10 fewer week 2 routes than Jefferson. So he's 10 less routes than Jefferson and 11 fewer than Thielen. So he's right behind them. And he had that game last week, and we called it too against Arizona.
Yeah, we did.
And you know what? He was 3-3. He only went up to 3-5 this week. Rondale Moore went to 4K. He's up to 5K this week. KJ is 3-5. He's 3-5.
He might actually be something to consider. Now, I wouldn't trust him repeating what he did last week. I can see the opposing defense is actually being smart and actually paying attention to him. But he is someone I would definitely consider.
Depending on how many your lineups you're getting through, that's again your game stacking. These are definitely quality pieces. If you play Kirk Cousins, I think you roll 3 lineups out. You play one with Justin, you play one with Adam, you play one with Osborne.
Yeah, that's a good point. There's not much to this game when I'm really looking through it. Besides,
I'm wondering, Dalvin Cook is he's questionable. He got hurt and came back last week.
Yep,
probably will play.
I would not touch Dalvin Cook in this game, just because of the questionable.
That keeps those Q tags all week keeps low ownership down a little bit. But if you say that you're not going to play Dalvin Cook, you're fading the spot that we just saw Derrick Henry score 50 fantasy points against. Just remember that.
That's true.
So like sometimes when you
was Derrick Henry hurt? Well, and it's twofold. One, Derrick Henry of course wasn't hurt. The other thing is Derrick Henry got his yards in the second half.
And the thing that we like about, or I won't say what we like, the thing with Zimmerman, the thing with Zimmer that we like, it's kind of like Tennessee. They'll keep running the ball. They're not going to get away from the run.
No, they won't.
They'll give
because he doesn't trust Kirk Cousins
not to the fullest.
All
and that's the thing when Minnesota every now and then they just gonna have a week where they're gonna come out and they're gonna score like 17 points.
That's true.
And I don't think it's this week. I think it's a pretty good game. I think it looks a lot like the Arizona-Minnesota game last week. Yeah. It's just straightforward on the Seattle side with expensive pieces versus some questionable pieces on the Arizona side. Because you saw like the AJ Greens show up. Won't happen. We won't see Freddie Swain do nothing this week.
No.
We won't see Dwayne Eskridge.
All right, so who should we target in this one besides our top guys? Should KJ Osborne be on the radar?
Yes.
Okay. So keep him on the radar. Yeah. Minnesota gives up a lot of points.
You look at this target tree. That's why I kind of keep up with the targets each week. So from Kirk, we've seen 19 to Jefferson, 17 to Thielen, 14 to Osborne. It's tight. And
he goes to whoever's open.
I think Kirk is like that. He's not a latcher, I don't think.
Well,
he does like Thielen in these.
Thielen is his safety.
He likes
security
Thielen
blanket.
that, and that's why I noted 8 first downs.
Yeah, he goes to Thielen for a lot of,
and he's got 3 touchdowns, and those are in the red zone.
Yeah,
he's throwing it to Osborne and Jefferson. Those are your speed. Those are your deep guys.
Yeah, they're gonna make their own. They're gonna get that yak.
Yeah,
they're gonna get that yak. So okay, keep those in mind. Defense wise, I wouldn't touch either defense.
I talked that and if I had to pick one, I said if I pick any defense in these high total games outside of the Arizona at Jags, which is very, very obvious, because, week 1, it was Arizona showed up against Tennessee.
Yep.
So it's always somebody's defense in these games, all these dropbacks, that's more sacks. And you can give up 24 points and have a decent fantasy outing. If you get 5 sacks.
If you get turnovers, you're good.
If you get a turnover. And so that's why I like to see it. Russ is not going to really kill himself out there.
Nope, he's not.
Not at all.
Next game, we've got the Arizona Cardinals traveling to Jacksonville to play the Jags, with that total being at 52. And Arizona's like a 7-point favorite in this game on the road, cross country. Mm-hmm. I'm always concerned. Now, that 49ers pick I had last week should have panned out, but it didn't pan out at the end of the game, which was pissed me off against the Eagles. That one should have covered.
Yeah,
that should have been a cover.
It's that backdoor cover.
That backdoor got me, but I feel the same way about this one. If I take anybody, I take the Jags in this one. spread-wise. As bad as Trevor Lawrence has been, he's not going to continue to be that bad.
Can't be. Because, last week was about as difficult as you get against Denver. And I think week 1, who they play in week 1?
The Jags?
Yeah. I don't even remember.
I'll look real quick. Ago. Yeah, I know, right? It's 2 weeks ago.
But they wasn't. But they,
Texans is Tyrod Taylor ate them alive.
Yeah.
And that Texans defense was a shockingly good, which they're playing pretty decent right now against the Panthers, as we're recording this on a Thursday night. That's something to keep in mind. I don't think that Trevor Lawrence is going to have as bad an outing this week with that defense as he's had to start first 2 weeks.
Right.
After a while, eventually he's going to settle down. And I like this Arizona defense, but I kind of feel like that Titans game was a fluke. Is that bad?
Arizona is the type of defense, especially with the way their secondary moves. They do good against some struggling offenses, and we just didn't know that Tennessee was going to come out the gate. Like Derrick Henry, saved the game for Tennessee. He
did.
So
and
it's still not a good looking out. I don't really have faith. We won't talk about that. I don't have faith in a Tannehill, A.J. Brown. When you start looking at these top 8, 9, how long is it going to take to get to him and A.J. Brown and Julio? So they attack these, and so I think it's a good sack attacking spot. I think this is one of them, a channel. So I think it's a good spot for that.
It's going to be a good spot for, like you said, for turnovers. It's going to be a good spot for sacks. This could be that large total that the defense still gives you good. Still give you a good point total,
right? And on the Jacksonville side, so on that side, I think the only play, I think you just play Marvin Jones Jr. He's got 20 targets. I think he's just going to be like an every week receiver, and he's a number 1 receiver. He's he's leading the team in targets. He's got 11 catches. He got 132 yards and 2 touchdowns through 2 games, and as a number 1 receiver, and they're going to have to throw in this game. They just have to keep throwing.
Yep, and you look at and you can look at Clark as well. How was Clark's numbers look like as far as targets go?
I didn't even write down his target share, but I got it here. So
he has 16 targets this season.
16 to the Sharks 5-3,
105,
Jones 4-9.
1 touchdown.
So not bad. The Jags they do have a 22-point implied team total. So they have to score 3 touchdowns. The thing is that Arizona moves so fast.
Yeah.
That Trevor Lawrence and them, they just have to keep coming on the field.
Yeah, he's going to have a lot of opportunities. So either Arizona's going to score 50 points in this game by themselves, or they're going to cause a ton of turnovers, and the game's going to be 40 to 20 something.
Yeah, they should have no problems with the ball. We're talking about a defense that has us believing, and it may be true, that Teddy Bridgewater and Tyrod Taylor are going to be good quarterbacks this year, and it's based on playing teams like the Jags. If you want to poke hole in me saying that Teddy B this week may be a decent play because we've seen him throw 300 yards and we've seen him throw 4 touchdowns and no picks. They have played the Jags though.
And as bad as they are, they're 24th ranked in DVOA right now.
Exactly. So you play Kyler Murray. You stack him with DeAndre Hopkins. You stack him with Rondale Moore.
How do you feel about Hopkins' injury? What's your thoughts on him being questionable right now?
I think he's just kind of
with the ribs.
In practice. I think you're just kind of taking it easy in practice. He's a veteran, not going to practice. I think you keep the Q tag on him. I think he plays.
Yeah, it's true, and it didn't chop his money wise, so it's obvious that DraftKings understand that he's definitely going to be out there on the field.
Yeah,
so.
and I think that they also know that he faced Patrick Peterson, and so he's still going to be 8-2. And again, I think that. My favorite, but some people will say get off of him. No,
now I'm going to ask you this: we've got a dilemma in Arizona on what it looks like at that wide receiver spot. We've got Hopkins, but now you've got 3 people to choose from. You have Christian Kirk, you have Moore, and then you have AJ Green, who has come out of nowhere with its last week when I did my optimizer with Pro Football Focus, just to kind of see what the analytics are saying. I had a ton of AJ Green rosters, which was surprising to me. I did not expect to see his name because I'm like, it's AJ Green. He scored a touchdown.
So when you do that, you just end up going back and you, especially if you hand build a similar, when you go back, you go with Rondale Moore. I think he's my guy.
You think Moore is your guy?
He's got 12 catches, 182 yards. He's actually the team. He's got with his 13 targets, he's won over D Hop at 12. AJ Green's got 12. Christian Kirk's got 9. Chase Edmonds even had 9. Kyler's just balling. He's throwing it around. You can hit all these guys. If you get to, I think Green, his problem was he got those targets, but not a lot of. He was some ugly ones. I was looking for how many he extra 69 yards on 12 targets. He was just. It wasn't efficient 12 targets, and I don't know if I don't know whose fault that is either. Like Kyler or AJ. If he's not catching the targets. I think it's more AJ than it is Kyler. Mm-hmm. Actually, you know what? Let me swap that. I think it's more Kyler going to him as a fourth option. He's just dumping it to him in comparison to trying to hit him in stride or hit him in exactly. Hitting him, he's the cleanup guy. And that's not, and then, so he's going to have high targets, but his catches and reception should be low. Yeah, my stacks are going to be Kyler and Moore, Kyler and D-Hop. And sense. I actually, and now, I might go back to Christian Kirk this week. Week 1, I went with him. He paid dividends because he got 2 touchdowns. Week 2, I should have got off of him, but I didn't, and he didn't produce. Yeah. I think this is a week where he comes back. I think we could see an alternation between him and Rondale Moore. I think the alternation is between Green and Kirk to be the 3 guy. I think that D-Hop and Rondale are 1 and 2. Or 1 and 2. Those, I think that's your 1 and 2. And then Kirk and Green is your alternating 3. And you'll have a week for nothing that we can predict ahead, like, who's holding them, who the matchup, that we can say AJ and we can say Kirk. I think you just go back and forth. I can see that. Okay, so we don't really have any tight end play in this game. No, Max unfortunately. Williams, he's got 8 targets in 2 games, I mean, we play Tebow. Nah. There's no tight end play in this game. But Max had 7 catches last week. In week 2, there's no tight end play in this game. Yeah. That secondary is not good enough. You got enough wide receivers. There's better options for other teams, but in this game, there's better options at wide receiver. Unless you're just about to build yourself, 100 Kyler Murray lineups, then you play Max Williams. You don't have to. You don't touch that. So defensive wise, we'll just wrap this up easily. You play the Cardinals defense. Period. Yep. You're playing a rookie quarterback. Perfect opportunity for you to get a whole bunch of points. I'm trying to figure out. It's turnovers. No, I don't hate. Connor keeps getting into it. I'm waiting on Chase Edmonds to have 11 carries and 90 yards and 7 receptions in a game. And 2 touchdowns on each side. The Jags defense is the team to give that up. I'm going to just say that. How the Jags defense do against run the last 2 games? Because we're all going to play these receivers. Because the Jags defense did not give up, let me see, yards-wise against they gave up 85 to Mark Ingram. We gave up 160 total against Houston, which they were running the ball because they were killing the clock. Because they're winning. So Jacksonville has faced a league 63 rushing attempts, and that's the league leading right now. They've faced 63 rushing attempts. That leads the NFL. Yeah, probably because they're playing from behind and teams are running. So maybe that leans more Connor as the clock killer and that could be something to keep in mind. Be surprised, kind of like how the $1 million lineup had Fournette in it. Wouldn't be surprised if somebody's lineup got Edmonds or Connor, because all the ownership's going towards these receivers. Yeah, it's true. We talk pregame about everybody playing Najee Harris, and then you go over here and you play Deontay Johnson instead. Yeah, that's true. Keep that in mind. Yes, I like that. Okay, number 4. Next game, 5th game on the list now. Mm-hmm. We're at the Baltimore Ravens playing in Detroit against the Lions. Woo, this is a 50-51. And to be honest, I think this is the one that goes over. Yes, I love Lamar Jackson. As much as the Ravens run the ball and keep the ball in their possession, pound the ball down, I just don't think that Lions defense is going to be able to stop that run or even any part of the pass. I don't think Detroit going to stop anything. Yeah. And it's like Lamar and Hollywood, Lamar and Hopkins. I've opened out the week wanting to play Tyson Williams. Maybe. But I'm like, I think you just play Lamar. I think you just play Lamar and have access to the whole offense. Yeah, you got a dome, you got turf. It's going to be track meet. It's going to be track meet. And I'm probably not going to play him, and I probably should. Well, let's stay on this. Let's keep talking about stay on the Baltimore side. Yeah, so on Baltimore, of course, most of my rosters that have popped up I've had on Pro Football's Optimizer has been a lot. I think about 14% of my rosters have the Baltimore-Detroit game, and it's all Lamar Jackson. He's my number 1. Actually, he's my number 3 guy at 28%. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is actually second, and then number 1 is Alvin Kamara, and we'll talk about him a little bit later. Yeah. But Lamar is definitely it.
you're going to want to play Hollywood.
Hollywood's got 16 targets. Watkins got 15. You know, Andrews kind of slow out the gate. He's only seen 10 targets. It's a good spot for the tight end.
The problem with Andrews is he drops the damn ball so much.
And, you know, and again, you follow where the targets are going. You follow what they're doing. And really, Andrews kind of had a down. Like last year, wasn't that, you know, and sometimes it could just be Lamar. It might not be anything physically wrong with Andrews. And it just, you know, they're usually hadn't been a heavy pass team.
Right.
And with Hollywood and Sammy, not that Sammy's the greatest, so it's bad to say that like this is the best wide receiver pair that he's had so far at a 1 and a 2.
That's
and
true.
So, and that's what they want him to do. They want him throwing receivers. They want the big plays.
Yep.
And I think it's just a blow up spot for Baltimore this week. Just blow up.
I agree. I think Hollywood got confidence after that Kansas City game and that big game he had then. Something that he's been wanting to do all season. Something he wants to do every week. Something that he's even voiced his opinion on the team passing the ball more in years in past.
And when you watch the games, they're redoing his routes. Like he's running cross and drags route. Like they're getting him, you know, kind of like Tyreek.
They're giving him Tyreek Hill routes, which is what you need from a burner.
Speed, not upfield for a bomb, but
catch it across and outrun everybody.
And get open. And that's what they're doing. And
they're letting him get himself open quicker.
Yes.
Because those cross routes, you get open a lot faster than you do on those slides.
So if we saw Deebo Samuel catching bombs from Garoppolo in the Dome in Detroit, what are they going to do?
Oh, boy.
This Sunday.
Now, if Greg Roman can get out of his own way and not have the same 5 plays, I think that that's a joke. But no, if they focus on getting creative and finding ways to get Marquise just across the field on a lot of crossing routes, Lamar will find him, and he's going to get a lot. And then you'll have Sammy Watkins being the possession guy. Lamar could throw for 300 in this game.
Yep.
Because I'm trying to think, who does Detroit have on their secondary?
No, nobody's going to stop them.
They have.
Yeah, it's just a matter of what Baltimore's approaching. That's why I say whether they
DVOA rating,
just play him.
They are the worst defense in the NFL after 2 weeks.
Just play Lamar. He's going to run. He's going to throw it. He could run 400 yards. He could throw for 250. Can you imagine that 100-yard rush bonus and a 300-yard?
Passing bonus?
Yeah.
This is the week he does it.
It's the one.
This is the week. If he does it any week this year, I think this will be the first time it could happen.
And so, I know I said 8 quarterbacks trying to get, no more than 9 or 10. I think you got to talk about Jared Goff a little bit because he's going to throw from behind like he's been. They're going to throw the ball.
They are. They're going to chunk the ball.
Yeah, they've never run the football in years past, even when they had Stafford, when they would actually be winning games. They lose leads because they can't kill the clock. So
So expect Swift to get a lot of handoffs.
Not this week.
You don't think it's gonna be Swift?
No. It's gonna be Goff. He's gonna be throwing it. Hawkinson got 20. That's really his number one target is TJ Hawkinson. He's got 20 targets this season. It's one of the best in the league all around. Darren Waller and Kelsey hit the Ravens pretty good. And honestly, we like the Ravens defense, but through 2 weeks now, they did play the Chiefs. But
they played a lot of high-power offenses, and Jared Goff sling the thing.
Right. So for right now, though, we look at what we have this year. Baltimore is in the bottom 5 in their sack rate. They're in the bottom 6 in the QB hit rate. So for a reason, through 2 weeks, they're not putting out a lot of pressure. Marcus Peters is hurt. Jimmy Smith is hurt. They got a free safety, Elliott. He's got a concussion. So you got to actually, we like the defense, but Baltimore's a banged-up defense. So you say pushing that total over 50. It might come from both sides, even if it's in comeback mode for Goff. But,
the question is how many turnovers can either team generate? That's going to be the question of this game as far as what either defense can do. Yeah. Who can generate the most turnovers? And I don't honestly see either side producing many.
Yeah, I don't see Lamar turn the ball over. I think they coming in like pretty confident after last week. Like they coming in riding high.
Oh,
and then they play somebody they can kind of beat up on.
Exactly. So they can continue that.
Yeah.
They can keep that. Yeah. Good point. I didn't think of it that way.
Mm-hmm.
So, running game, as far as the Ravens go, I'm thinking you probably want to play a little Latavius Murray.
I think Tyson Williams is going to be the play. Actually.
You think so?
Yeah, he jumped ahead of Latavius Murray last week, and his price. I'll pull up his
58.
Game log.
He's 58, and Murray's 53. And so Tyson, he's got 22 carries this season for 142 and only 1 touchdown with 5 receptions. On 6 targets. They're not. Neither one are really
just jumping off the page.
No.
That's why I think you should play Lamar and move on.
Yeah, Lamar and Lamar and Hollywood. That's really who you stack.
Mm-hmm.
And you go defense, you can even stack a defense with that.
Early
You can
week,
put,
I had
Baltimore
saved.
in there.
Early week, I had like took a little, screenshot of the Tyson Williams things, trying to, some early week value, and I was wondering about him, but he could work. If they do really build, like say if it's 28-3. Then we'll see them run the ball. I think the coach is smart enough to run the ball and run the clock. It'll still be Lamar running, but it'll be that scenario. Kind of like the golf trash time fantasy points. It'll be trash time fantasy points. It won't be lead back stuff, but it'll be trash time.
And I think that's the thing that also helps the Ravens in this is because they're such a power run offense, even though they get like 6 to 8 yards per carry, it feels like. Their offense keeps their defense off the field because they do run some clock. And so that defense should be fresh and that defense should be playing strong. Yeah. So if there's a triple stack here, Lamar, Hollywood, Ravens defense.
And defense.
So next game, final game we're going to dive into. And thank you all for watching here on YouTube as well as listening to us wherever podcasts are downloaded and listen to. Please leave a comment. I'll reply. I'm very good at that. Also rate and review if you are on Apple Podcasts. Yeah. Follow on Spotify. Final game, Falcons and the Giants. This total is
on Instagram at the OSG Report.
Yeah, it's on Instagram as well.
Just questions.
We're looking for that. Falcons, Giants, 48.5.
Yes.
Is what we're sitting at, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Close game, close total. Giants favored by 3.
Ooh.
Close game.
I'm going to be honest. I hate both of these teams. And I hate both these teams only because I just hate them both in general. They're terrible teams.
I don't want to play either quarterback. Like I don't want to stack Matt Ryan and I don't want to stack Daniel Jones and Shepard, but I like Sterling Shepard. I like some of the pieces, but I don't want to play the quarterback. So while we're on that subject, pregame we were trying to figure out if it was Falcons Giants or if we were going to go Bills
and the Washington
football team. Yeah. So it was a fringe game. But I think some of these pieces, I think it need to be talked about.
Yeah. So talking quarterbacks, real quick, we'll start on the Giants side. I played Daniel Jones for one reason, not as a stack.
He's got legs.
He's going to get you 100 yards rushing.
I was about to say he's the only guy that we can really say outside of Lamar that's got 100 yards rushing upside potential.
Yes. Even funny is even with Kyler Murray out there.
Right.
You would think that Kyler would be the guy. No. Kyler scrambles to throw a pass or to score a touchdown.
True.
He does not scramble just to run up and down the field anymore.
Shoulder and he's done. Right?
Yes, he will slide in a heartbeat. Yeah. So he's Russell Wilson Mystique is basically what he is. So Daniel Jones though, he'll run and he'll just outrun everybody. That dude's not deceptive. He's not sneaky. He's not all the cliches you give to these white boys out here running the ball. Daniel Jones is fast. Yeah. Daniel Jones got some wheels. He knows how to scramble well. He knows how to scramble and not get hit. So you can probably get that 100-yard bonus out of him, especially in this game because the Falcons are trash on defense.
Yes, they are. They've given up fantasy top 5s to Hurts and Brady this year. Of course, Brady is great. No interceptions. It's an 8-0 touchdown ratio there against Atlanta right now. That's always been the case. It's to target the passing game against Atlanta. That's been the case for several years. Like, honestly, I'm not surprised.
Who's the corner they got? Terrell?
Doesn't even matter.
He's good, though, and they can't do anything.
So we talk about Danny. So far in 2 games, he's got 122 rushing yards. He's got 2 touchdowns, and we're talking about Danny. We're not talking about Saquon Barkley. We're
talking about Daniel Dimes.
We're talking about Danny turnover dimes, tossing dimes.
AJ Terrell is a good corner, and somehow they cannot get interceptions.
So Danny Jones. So if you want to stack them, though, if you wanted to, which you don't have to, the play out, and this is why I got back in the game. Sterling Shepard.
I highly recommend not stacking this game at all.
Yeah, but
pick one of the other pieces.
Yeah, I think like so with Shepard. He'll probably land in lineups as like he'll just going to be a random roster spot for me.
Yeah,
like I'm gonna have it's gonna be this other stack going, and it's gonna be there's Sterling Shepards, there's Terry McLaurin's.
Yep,
those and he's emerging. He's got
I feel like with this one, like I said, Daniel Jones solo, or you would go with Shepard solo because I wouldn't even go. As much as I would want to go with Kenny Golladay, I feel like there's too much angst and animosity going on right now.
So let me read you Sterling Shepard's last 4 games.
Ooh, give it to me.
Before you say don't stack them. 977 and a touchdown. 8-112 and a touchdown. 7-113 and a touchdown. 994 with no touchdowns. That's his last 4 full games with Danny Dimes at quarterback. Together.
This is the reason why I say don't stack. That'll be the only touchdown he'll throw in the game.
Could be true.
That'd be the only other score you'll get is him running.
I led off the conversation with said I don't want to play either quarterback in the games.
Yeah.
If we pick one, it's going to be Danny.
Yeah, you play Danny because he's going to get you rushing yards. There's a potential for 100-yard upside.
Other player on the Giants side, I think that could be the breakout time. It's going to be Saquon Barkley.
Okay.
Played last week on a short week. It was okay, So now he got the extended break. Hadn't played since Thursday. He's at home. They're favored. And it's not him. It's like the O-line. Like if they can open the holes for him. Because, if the defense in the backfield before you get to the line of scrimmage, no running back can, Earl Campbell,
basically.
Yeah, who's just going to throw everybody off of him. So could be the breakout spot for Barkley. Like this could be like he finally has a good game and nobody's really thinking about playing him. He catches passes out the backfield. So, he had 15 touches last week. Ran 72. It'll be 10 days in there in between. So if it's the time to play him, you go here. They've given up 4.6 yards rushing attempt. The Falcons defense,
right?
190 yards rushing over 2 games. So
right,
those are 2 running backs, not everybody.
Yeah, I don't think Saquon's gonna get you anything this week.
And those are running backs that aren't, but that they've played Philly and Tampa running backs and giving up that kind of stat line. So I understand what you're saying. Looking for some sneaky calls. Don't forget, okay, just wait till Sunday. Okay, let's go to the Atlanta side.
Real quick, we can
Ridley
be very
with
quick
18
on this.
targets. Matt Ryan is killing Ridley, but still 18 targets. I actually think that Kyle Pitts is probably the best player. You talked about no tight end in some game. I think you go right back to Kyle Pitts.
Oh yeah, you play Pitts every week.
You do play him every week, but the Giants easily can get whipped pretty easy at that tight end spot.
The problem you run into with Kyle Pitts is I don't see Kyle Pitts catching any touchdowns. Because Matt Ryan's not been the best at throwing to his tight ends. I mean, it's kind of how they lost Hurst and Austin Hooper and everything. They just he don't throw the ball to them that much in the zone. And that was the problem with Julio. That was the other issue you had with Julio when he was there.
Let's see how week 2 was better than week 1. Denver came in here over Fant and their other tight end. There was 10 catches, 85 yards, and a touchdown to go around. If
you're playing tight ends, you're going to play Kyle Rudolph in this game.
I think you go Pitts. Stay away from everybody else. Just play Pitts. Play the guys getting the targets.
You don't like Kyle Rudolph getting them numbers like Noah Fant did last week?
No. Go with Pitts. He's not getting any. Rudolph's not getting targets.
Well, I'm sorry. Correction. You're not looking at Kyle Rudolph like a Gronkowski.
Now Rudolph on. He's with the Giants. 7 targets. I like Pitts. You take Rudolph 7 targets. Pitts got 14.
Makes sense.
So
lay off of Rudolph. Then keep him as a back pocket cheap play. Mm-hmm. And I say as a back pocket cheap play because I don't think Ingram is playing this week. He's been limited all week with a calf injury, and has injury history. Mm-hmm. So I could totally see him saying they want to slow him up, but he has no receptions this season. Mm-hmm. So Rudolph is a good option if you need a cheap 3,000 filler. Mm-hmm. You can throw him out there while you stack with a whole bunch of high end scores.
Ingram's out. Is Ingram out?
He's questionable with a calf,
Mm-hmm.
and he has 0 receptions this season.
Yeah.
I actually don't think he played any games this year.
Yeah, Ingram, he just
no games. He hasn't played so far.
Fell off so far.
I feel so bad for him.
I used to really, I've had.
I drafted him twice.
I've had a couple of articles where he was like the cover of the article.
Yeah, he was supposed to have been something.
He's 3.6,
but his quarterback is also Danny Dimes.
Yeah,
that's the other problem you have. So with that, defense wise, I wouldn't touch either one of them.
No.
because I don't know if either one can get the turnover like they're supposed to. I just don't trust either one of them right now.
If I pick one, I'd go with the Giants side, though.
If you have to pick one.
Because I'm still wondering, Matt Ryan at 36.
If I would pick one, I'd pick the Falcons because Daniel Jones is going to fumble the ball.
Yeah. If you're going to force yourself to play a running back, I go back to Mike Davis over Cordell Patterson.
Yeah.
Consider the matchup they had against Tampa. You can't run on them, so they was throwing it to him, working in schemes.
Good point.
But I'm not probably going to play him, though, either. I will play Barkley before I play any of those running backs.
Good point.
And I'm telling you, I'm going to play Barkley this week. Not like all over the place.
This guy.
But after this, we'll run through these running backs, though.
Go through these running backs next. Here come the running backs next. All right, let's go on to the running backs. We're going to dive into running backs and tight ends.
Yes.
Are the two that we want to dive. Well, defenses. No, running backs and defenses.
So, I did put it's tight end, right? Running backs, tight ends, defense.
Running backs, tight ends. Yep. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and run into all three of them.
Yep, running
Lightning
backs.
rounds.
Uh-huh.
Let's go. Running backs.
I will have one of three of these running backs in every lineup. Some will have two. Some will have all three. And that will once again be Nicholas Chubb. That will be Austin Eckler. And that will be Derek the Big Dog Henry. One of them will be in every lineup. Like I said, some will have two. Some I might just jam them in and go with my cheap receivers. The other running backs off the board I'm looking at, like trying to figure out the Chase Edmonds thing. J.D. McKissick is, he's eating into Antonio Gibson's playing time. Like they're splitting it, but he's getting so much work out the backfield. He's kind of playing that James White role. And, I mean, he's legitimate. And the Washington offense is not getting downgraded with Tyler Heineke in there. I think you can go back to Najee Harris this week. He's just dominating the backfield. Like, eventually the touchdowns. And what was promising was his pass work game last week. And that's really what saved him as a roster spot, was that reception touchdown last week. But as long as he's just the only running back playing, you got to look at him. We talked about Barkley. I think that Damian Harris or James White should be usable, and I think kind of James White. Yeah, James White is. I think he's a decent play against the Saints this week.
Yeah, I agree with you there. And if you want to look at that, even on the side of the ball, he may be highly priced, but Alvin Kamara is going to have a breakout game eventually.
Right.
Jameis is not. I don't think Jameis is going to make as many mistakes as he did last week.
It's true.
That Panthers defense is sneaky good. We didn't realize they're the number one team in DVOA, so we didn't expect them to be as good as they are.
So if the Saints offense gets better, I think you got to throw back with Kamara back in the play.
Yeah, you do.
If you think that they're going to bounce back this week.
Yeah, and I sense a bounce back for the Saints. It makes sense.
And so with these fantasy lineups, and that's half of it, is really thinking about, instead of just this player, this spot, what do you think the team is going to do? You watch it every week. You see the ups and downs that the NFL season goes, and what is this team going to do?
So I don't know how I feel about Najee Harris or Jonathan Taylor this week.
Taylor, the quarterback play is just going to hinder Taylor. Like, it would be a good spot against Tennessee.
That's what I mean.
But we just, you're playing from behind. It just, that offense is going to cripple his production, his value.
So your three that you said: Henry, Nick Chubb,
and Eckler.
Keep them going.
I guess I'm gonna say that J.D. McKissick might be my sneaky guy. You turn down Barkley. I wish that Melvin Gordon and Javonte Williams wouldn't split so much, but they're, between them both, they're almost getting, like, they're running the ball almost, 25 plus. They running the ball a lot. It's just split between the two of them.
Who's the No. Yeah.
Gordon and Javonte Williams there in Denver, and then you could sneak Leonard Fournette out there.
Maybe some Kareem Hunt. Maybe a little Kareem Hunt there.
Anytime that you play Nick Chubb, you can flip that around and play Kareem Hunt. You think about how the game is going to flow. When Cleveland is winning, when they're dominant, it's Chubb. If they're having to pass, if it's a shootout, if they're playing from behind, are they going to play from behind against the Bears? I don't know.
That Bears defense is sneaky good.
Yeah. First week, looked terrible against the Rams. And then they come against the Bengals, which the Bengals play Brown-type ball, because we saw that Browns and Bengals game went nowhere last week.
That's my point.
Could be a similar game this week, and so I think that favors Chubb a little bit more than Hunt. But
all them bees, flow. Man.
So you can get to Kareem Hunt off of Nick Chubb. You sure can.
Right.
You sure can.
Okay. Tight ends.
Of course, there's Kelsey and Darren Waller. No need to explain.
Kelson, Waller, Gronk, who's going to catch touchdowns. Only problem with Gronk, he doesn't get yards, but he does get scores.
So one of my favorite off-the-wall tight ends in games we didn't play or talk about was Logan Thomas. I think he comes right back. Like I said, no downgrade to this offense. at 4-7 with
Heineke's.
He looked good last week against who they played. We were here. They was playing Thursday night. He was playing the Giants, I believe. Didn't look bad.
And he led them to that victory. So there isn't a drop. They've had the a few days of rest. I can totally see them. I can see Logan going out there producing.
Yep, he is right now fantasy's tight end number 6 right now.
Yep,
he is the only tight end to play 100% of the team snaps, and so he is on the field. If the offense is moving, I think you play him. He's got 12 PPR points first week. He's got 9 in the next game, 9.5, I should say. So I think he's a quality play.
And go all in on Noah Fant. They're playing against the Jets.
Yes, play Fant. I talked about Pitts. I'm probably go back to we talked about Jerry Cook in that in the Chargers game. Higbee with a question mark everywhere. So yeah, those are your tight ends.
Okay.
Yep.
That sounds good. Okay, defenses.
Defenses.
Ooh. Let's.
You can find a reason to play a lot of defenses, because especially if you're playing tournaments, you're going to mix it up. It can be based on salary. One that's highlighted is...
So the one thing I point out every time with defenses is to go for the rookie quarterback first. That's always your first starting point. Look at the rooks, because the rooks are always the ones that are going to turn the ball over, and that's where you're going to get those nice points. So looking at that, you've got the Colts has got a rookie quarterback, so that's against the Titans, which I typically don't touch the Titans. They've got a rookie.
You could consider the Saints against Mac Jones.
Yep, Saints against Mac Jones.
And I do like New England in that same game, by the way.
I actually do like New England as well because it's Jameis Winston. So you're either going to get great Jameis Winston or you can get turnover Jameis Winston.
Right. So there was more reason to tout the Cardinals against the Jags. And I think of all of those, I think the best is going to be Denver against the Jets and their rookie quarterback.
Yeah, because that Denver defense is ridiculous. Even with Bradley Chubb out. Chubb, honestly, he's a difference maker, but the way they played week 1 without him tells me that they'll be fine until he comes back.
Yep.
Yeah, so if you want to go high price and go to low tight end, take the Broncos defense as your play, and the Patriots.
Yeah,
I don't like the Steelers against the Bengals as much as I want to.
Burrow close to a rookie, but I wrote them. Like the Steelers defense is still good. It's just Ben and they're not moving the ball.
Yeah, he's not.
Yeah, he should have retired. He doesn't look like he wants to play football. He's just throwing the ball up.
Yep. And so honestly, a cheap defense to play the Bengals.
Honestly, I hadn't looked at them.
Turnovers will happen in that game.
Because this is a game likely, the AFC North is a game likely to go 14-10.
Yep. And that's why you do it. Low point score, so you get the points for that. You probably get 1 or 2 turnovers. You get at least a fumble or interception out of being. So something to take advantage of.
Okay, I hate to admit it. Rookie quarterback, my Bears, rolling out Justin Fields.
Oh, yeah.
So you look at we consider the Browns.
Justin Fields because he's a rookie.
So all of them I wrote down. It was the Browns against Fields, Cardinals against the Jags, Steelers against the Bengals, Patriots against Winston, Ravens we talked about, Raiders against Miami.
Yep, Raiders Miami.
Down there.
You got back up because Brissett. I don't know what's going on with him.
Miami is slowly turning into one of these teams that you just going to stream defenses against until they show us otherwise.
Yeah, I agree.
It's just whoever's playing them and the Jets. And the last one, the wild card, the Seahawks against Cousins.
Yep, keep the Bengals in your mind because Ben Roethlisberger is bad.
Actually, I kind of like that Bengals.
The Bengals, yeah. Ben has been bad, so it's worth keeping in mind that because Ben is playing so bad that you'll have an opportunity to get some points at the cheap rate. Because they're only 21. They're one of the lower ones. They're one of the bottom 3.
If you play the Bengals defense, you may as well play Joe Mixon.
Good point.
He just runs the ball. Like we didn't go through him in running backs. Last week people are going to look at that he had 8 fantasy points against the Bears. Still ran the ball 20 times. Ran 29 the week before. Just didn't get the 100 yards, didn't get a touchdown. He's
going to get the carries.
Yeah.
Once Joe Burrow starts going, he'll get his.
And they're going to keep, they're showing to be a team that's committing to the run too.
Yep.
So if you play that, play Mixon with them.
Play Mixon. It's the last option.
Yep.
All right, let's wrap this bad boy up with a bow on it with one of my favorite segments now. We're going to call it the PHrozen Features of the weekend. So these are the plays that the OSG feels like are I'm going to give him some questions. He's going to give us his boldest, coldest, hottest takes possible. So he's going to show us a little frostiness here. So, all right, You ready for it?
Yes, sir.
Let's dive into it quickly.
Let's do it.
Quarterback. Who's going to give us 4 touchdowns or more?
4.
Yep, you got one pick.
I'm gonna have to give the guy that is most likely to throw 4 anytime he rolls out. I mean, that's easy. I think you got to go. You know what? I was gonna go Mahomes, but let's say Russ.
Ooh, he is in a situation where he can.
Yeah, Mahomes is the play, the call, but that's easy. Let's go Russ.
Has he scored 4 touchdowns?
Who, Patrick or Russ?
Mahomes.
He's got 3 in both games.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Russ has 4 in week 1 against the Colts and 2 against Tennessee, so he's thrown 4 so far.
Exactly. All right, running backs. Who's going to get us
and he threw it against the Colts. Watch Tannehill throw 4 touchdowns this week.
Right. That doofus. All right, running backs.
I want Josh Allen to do it, but okay.
Running backs.
Yes.
Who's going to get us 150 yards?
Ooh. Who's going to get 150 yards besides Derrick Henry?
I don't think he gets it this week.
Interesting.
I don't even think it's 100 this week. Right. But who's our bold pick for 150 this week? Yeah, it ain't that easy, guys. It ain't that easy coming with these bold picks.
So since we were back and forth about this play, I'm going to say Saquon Barkley.
Ooh, really? You think he breaks out?
I really think he has a decent to better. I think he really has a breakout game list. Like, the Atlanta sucks. Matt Ryan's going to turn the ball over. They can't stop anybody. Like, they gave up that kind of rushing production to Philly and the Bucs to have 150 yards. And Saquon is better than Ronald Jones and, when healthy, Leonard Fournette. And definitely Miles Sanders and company. And in light of, it may have a little bit to do with Jalen Hurts too, but,
Right. Okay.
Saquads.
So we're going with Saquads. All right. Yes. All right. Okay. Wide receiver. Who's going to get us 3 touchdowns?
3. That's easy.
Who has the best chance to get us 3 touchdowns?
If Russell's going to throw 4 touchdowns, 3 is going to Lockett.
Tyler Lockett? I like.
He's got 3 this season already.
Yeah.
He had 2 in week 1. So if Russ is going to throw 4,
I think Russ cooks and he goes to Lockett the whole time.
Yep.
All right.
Because I do think that Metcalf gets the because they're playing who are they playing? They gets the Patrick Peterson coverage.
Yeah.
And we saw I was legit DK, DK, D Hop, they got the ability to beat the tough matchups.
Yes.
But D Hop didn't do it last week.
D Hop just did enough.
He just did enough, and I think DK will too, and I think that's going to free up Lockett to run out through that slot. We saw what Rondale Moore did in this spot against Minnesota, and I think Lockett blows that up. Yeah,
I think him going in motion as much as he probably will, it makes it hard for Peterson to be able to be shadowing him the way they want to shadow him.
Yep.
And it kind of gives away their coverage, and it's not something you want to do on the defensive side, so that kind of does make sense.
And again, the same way I want Josh Allen to throw 4, I want Diggs to catch 3, but we're going to say Lockett.
We'll say Lockett.
Yeah. If you notice that Buffalo game, that'll be, when I do the article, that'll be that other, sneaky game to shoot out, I think.
Right. Now remember,
it's only like a 42 total.
Right. Check out the article for more details. We're just kind of breaking down the ones that we like. Next week we'll have less games. We'll only do 4, and we're going to really bullet down to who we think is going to be the most important. So keep that in mind moving forward. All right, tight ends. You ready?
Yep.
2 touchdowns.
2 touchdowns
or more.
I mean, can you just keep playing? Just keep saying Gronk. Like, why not? He's the red zone target. Why not?
He is Brady's favorite red zone target, and it seems to work every time.
Because even Waller's getting a lot of targets, receptions. He's only got 1 touchdown from the week 1 game. So, but if we wanted to go different, we talked about him earlier, and we really touched on him really briefly, but we like him a lot. TJ Hawkinson. Let's give him to get the 2 of the trash time touchdowns against Baltimore in that spot.
That's a good point.
From Jared Goff.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Yep. So we'll say 2 of them. We'll say Hawkinson and Gronk. Give it a 2 answer one. I know we say 1, but give them 2.
I'm with you. All right. Give me your boldest one on this last one for defenses.
Right.
Who gets us 3 turnovers?
Oh, boy.
It's a tough one.
You know what? It's not. They're so high priced. Can you play Denver? But we just saw the Jets. He just gave up. I don't even remember how many interceptions he ended up throwing to New England. 4. Okay, so there's 3+ there. If I had to go with anybody else to force some turnovers, I hate to pick on my own team and Justin Fields, but rookie quarterback, how is he going to really look when he gets out here
in his first game?
He was a little rattled, but when you get thrown in the game off the sideline, that happens, and then you look bad after week preparation. Because in Cleveland's, in their defense, Cleveland may not know what they're really going to throw out here with Justin Fields.
That's true.
We don't really know what kind of offense that they're actually going to go out here and simulate with him at the helm.
Because we don't have that much film on him because he hasn't played that much. Yeah. So, that's...
And I could see New England getting 3 out of Jameis. Even if Jameis has a better game, who is the best scheming quarterback against a quarterback that's or best scheming coach against a quarterback who's struggling? Belichick. So... That's the
Belichick playbook is to go after him. So you're going to say defensively you're going to go with...
I thought it was a hard question, but I like Denver, I like New England, and I like Cleveland. But, if I had to take one, it's Denver. Hard to get to him in fantasy at 4,300, but still.
Yeah, but going after that, it's 3 turnovers, and you got a young quarterback. That means it's going to pay out big.
Yeah, and it's in Denver.
Yep. God, altitude. Didn't
His
think of that.
His name is Wilson, too. Representative's right, man. Come on.
Yeah. And he played at BYU, so he played at Utah, so he knows a little bit about altitude. He should be able to be a little bit better.
True.
Hopefully.
True. I think he's better. I think over time he's a good quarterback.
I think he can manage the game. I think,
and that's two hard matchups back to back to go. New England and Denver.
Not to get too far off track. The one thing I've always feared about him was that the Jets would get him killed.
Yes.
That was the only thing I was really concerned about for him is that he's going to get him killed.
What happens when you get out of New York?
Yeah, he's got a solid defense. He looks like an actual NFL quarterback.
Yeah, he looks like a completely different quarterback,
different person. So okay, well, that's some good stuff, man. We appreciate y'all joining us as usual here on Unfair Sports for our special OSG Fantasy Report every week. This drops every Saturday for your consumption through college football in preparation and building your roster. Yes. So, for Mike, Bob, and Wendy, thank you so much for doing what you do best in preparations and whatnot. Thanks to the OSG for pulling up. Make sure you read the article as well. Drops that on Saturday afternoons with more details to go along with our commentary. So,
read the article. Message on Instagram.
Yeah, hit us up on Instagram.
If you are on DraftKings, look for our Sunday game, the OSG Sunday game. I'll post about that more a little bit too.
We'll post that on the Instagram as well as the Twitter. Follow us at Unfair Sports. We'll have all of those listed there, as well as the Unfair Sports free game that we do every week. There'll be a prize eventually. I haven't figured out how I want to do that part yet, but as of right now, I do want to have a free game just so that we have just some enjoyment to playing daily fantasy together as we figure it out. So, with that, on the road to the millions, we'll chop it up in a few days. Peace.